I'm just waiting for people to join. So I forgot that this whole this whole thing records the entire session. So I'll try to talk. Make you hear me. Let's see. I'll mess with my settings. Input. Okay. Cool. Audio output should be that. Perfect. Okay. Cool. So thanks for joining. Just trying to get my audio working. I hope that my video full definition that works. Okay. Cool. Welcome to the live stream. I'm alone today. Will is traveling, so I will be simply building. I've asked on Twitter a few things of what kind of questions people would like answered about FlutterFlow, how to build better, build different in FlutterFlow. I got a couple of responses that I think I could cover in an hour, so that's what I'm going to try to do, and I'll showcase those. I'll be managing the chat and the building and the talking throughout the entire live stream. So I hope you guys, can handle that. I hope I can handle that. No, I haven't dyed my hair. I just wet it. It's been a little crazy. My hair is very frizzy if I don't take care of it. So, yeah. Anyways, we're going to, maybe I'll pin the comment or something, but as I said, I tweeted out, what questions do people want answered about how to build in FlutterFlow. So one of the answers was, little basic stuff. I'll share my screen, and that way, yep, cool. I'll share that screen. Awesome. So basic stuff, how to diagram a page, basic elements, when to use a column, row, container. These are great questions. This seems very simple, but it's a great question because, again, yeah, there's 100,000 different ways to build code apps. So I will just showcase how I do stuff. And if you've watched this live stream before, you will, I've mentioned certain things, but hey, we can repeat it, no problem. So I will go ahead and share this tab instead. Oh, no, that's the finished one. We don't want to do that. Give me a second. Go back here. Cool, you guys can see that. So I'll just go ahead and create a new page. And we'll name this layout options. Cool. Now, when I'm building a page, hopefully this is working for y'all. I'm zoomed up enough. Okay, seems to be good. Seems to we have good quality too. Hey, right on. So when to use a column, row, container. I will showcase this in one of the most basic elements of any design, which is a card with a header and a subheader. So, okay, you always have to start out your page. Well, for a mobile design, I start out with columns. If it's a responsive design, I'll start out with a row here. So again, those are little nuances, right? If I start out with a row here, right? If we replace this with a row, let's go and find a web nav. This one, right? So rows will stack things horizontally and columns will stack things vertically. That's pretty good. That's pretty basic stuff. Most people would know that. And I'm sure that um, Emilio also knows that. But there's a lot of nuances to how you build beyond that with rows, containers, columns. And when you're building out components like this one, if this is left aligned, do you want it in a row, right? So here we have a column, right, stacked vertically. We have a row here because I have two text elements. Now I don't even need this row. I can actually just input a rich text element. So let's see this. Okay. Wow. That's what happens when you delete everything on a page. So do this. I did not have my input active over here. So first, let's get that web nav again. We'll replace this with a row. Okay. This is expanded. We don't want that expanded. So here, as I was saying, we actually don't need to, let's close this so we can do a little more building. Yeah. Cool. I use rows whenever I need to stack two elements side by side. As you can see here, we have two text elements here. So we don't need to do this anymore. We have a rich text element that will allow us just to do rich text. So let's do rich text. We can drag it underneath here. And then let's go ahead. I think this is like H1. Ooh, it looks like H2 actually, or H3. There you go. Cool. So I'll do holiday. Oh, no dot there. Add a text span. AI. And we will stylize this to be our primary color. Cool. So where we needed a row before, we don't need a row anymore. A row before, row anymore. Okay, cool. Awesome. So that's that. This is sort of how I would also build this stuff, right? So these are sort of complicated UI elements, right? Sometimes you can't really get past using row, column, column, row, row, row. But as long as you can, I basically start with a column. Any text elements I want in that column, I would set that column to cross-axis alignment start. So that's going to left align everything. I'll just put, a bunch of any text elements in there or anything I need in there really. And then once you get down to it, when you use containers, I use containers for a lot of things. When I just want to, I come from a design world, so you're always putting stuff in a frame or a rectangle and then, grouping those things together to make a component. Sometimes they don't even need a background. They could just be there. It's like it's boxing them in. It's not necessarily needed in development, right? So if I didn't have this selected background here that I wanted to change when I selected this stuff, then I could just put a row here, right? I could just put a row, 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 row. And I could have all three elements that I have in here. That would reduce the amount of sort of segmentation that I have going down. So one thing to keep in mind, less is more whenever you're building. Sometimes I'll dive into a project from builders in FlutterFlow. And this goes for anything, right? Design, code, no matter, right? And it'll just be very horizontally long. So if we look at the code for this page, oh, I hate the light mode dark. I hate the light mode code view here, but anyways, this works. So you could see this thing if we had stacked this in a container and then another row and another column, like it would be way out here. This is actually pretty good, right? Everything's sort of in the middle. Um, this is pretty good for FlutterFlow build. So yeah, keeping things sort of this again, simple concept. I keep things to group them, and then as I build, this is one example, right? I told you I would show you a card example, basic card. So if we drag a little card out here, set the width to like 700, 600, cool. Stylize it. Who doesn't stylize stuff? Designers. Cool. So this would be another sort of general concept. How do you build? Yeah, typically. So I'll do a column in here. If I would sometimes build or put my padding on this column here. There you go. We're going to do that. We're going to do cross alignment to start. Okay. And then we are going to add some text in here. Change it to there. Okay. We'll duplicate that. First, let's update it. Ooh. Drag another element in here then. And take that. Try to zoom in, guys. Sorry. There you go. And throughout this live stream, I mean, the whole point for me is to hopefully help you guys learn how to design better. So spacing is definitely important. We'll see if this is actually taking away. I apologize. Everything seems to be working well, but we're going to go through some really fun builds. I'm going to touch on animations next. So stick around. We're going to do a nav bar animation on. I will just use subtitle here. Typically, I would put 4 to 8 pixels padding between these two. For some reason, my padding is not wanting to take effect. So we'll do that. And then this is sort of where, things get complicated, right? Page title, subtitle, that stuff's out of the column. Typically, you have like maybe a form here or some information here. So how do we do that? I've seen people add another row here and then an image and then some text and another row. I haven't built like that. So some of the templates are like that. Okay, I'm going to go back through, rebuild them all. So I've made the rookie mistakes of, hey, I have this, stuff left aligned and I want something center aligned. So I have to wrap it in a row. Not necessarily the case. I'll showcase that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another design and copy over a text field that I want to use. Okay, cool. And we're going to just showcase. Oh. My padding is, I'm going to have to submit this bug. Anybody else having a problem with padding? I am. Mobile, same project. Okay, this is a good question. I'll answer this because it's quick. Yes, you can do this. We have a new folder system. So if you look at this page over here, how we export this, or we will export this, however you set up your folder system here, will be reflected in code when you download it. So before we could create folders, they weren't necessarily, it wasn't the best use case. Now you can create folders. So I can create one, let's see, this guy. I can create a folder there, and then I can take this demo page and throw it in there, and this alt page and throw it in there. And I can take this and throw it in my pages. And then this is how your segmentation will happen when you open this in VS Code. It'll be pages, demo folder, So you could do web app, mobile app, throw it in there, and that is sort of how your code will take. That's how it's going to be represented in your code, in your exported code. So good question. You can now do that with our new folder setup. Also, a little UX improvement. Before you, when you selected a folder, like it would not remember the state. Now it does. So a fun thing that just improves the life of you building in FlutterFlow. I don't know why this is not taking effect, but yeah. So we have a form. Let's go ahead and duplicate that. Oh, of course. Everything everything works before, does not work when you actually start building. So yeah, this is a great question as well. And I will address this. I'm gonna sort of I'm gonna try to go through this and show you. I would start just by building UI. Personally, I enjoy doing that. It's a really okay, again, uh, opinionated opinion, but biased opinion. Um, uh, if you've worked in Webflow or if you worked in design tools, it is pretty intuitive. If you are just starting out and you're unfamiliar with it, just start dragging stuff in, right? If you understand the concepts of columns stacked vertically, rows stacked horizontally, containers will contain things. And you can put columns within containers and all sorts of fun stuff. You'll be on a good path to success. Then hooking up data, we'll talk about that. We talk about that on our YouTube channel. This sort of live stream is meant for more UI UX updates and sort of how to build professional looking apps, beautiful apps, nuanced apps within FlutterFlow. That's what I enjoy doing. So, but that's a good place to start. So understanding rows and columns. I try to just go to Dribble or Behance and try to find a design and just try to match it. How would I do that? So understanding those three concepts. Containers can be stylized. It's like the most stylized element within FlutterFlow. So that and text field, I guess. But containers are more expansive, right? You can throw things in them. You can add drop shadows, border radius, background color, width, height, max width, height. Those things will come into play later in this talk because I'm going to talk about responsive design, how to use containers to improve your responsive designs within FlutterFlow. So anyways, I'll go back to this. Sorry. So we have left aligned. We have these inputs that are, full width. And then let's say we have a button that we want to throw in here. But we don't want that button to be left aligned because nobody wants that. This to be right aligned. Before, or some people would throw a row around it, which is possible. You can do this. The best way, or what I found, best way is just to horizontally align this to the far right. So you can use these horizontal alignment, vertical alignments. They don't always take effect because it depends on if something's expanded, if the parent is expanded. There's a really good video on layout. God, really good video on layout elements within FlutterFlow on our YouTube channel. So I would go ahead and watch that. Yeah, that'd be great. And we'll just this a little bit. Cool. Oh, that's containers, rows, columns. It's essentially how I start laying stuff out. I would use, if I have a very complicated layout, so such as this, right? So if we did this over here, And let's say I wanted this icon over here, and I wanted it to float to the right. So there's a few ways you can do this. There's main axis alignment here, which will lay out elements. It'll be a little slow, but if you could just bear with me, my computer. Okay, cool. You can do this, space in between. And then, this doesn't necessarily look professional, in my opinion. If I had an icon over here, I'd want the text on the left. So the way you can do that is just expand things. Now, this expansion thing can break a lot of stuff. So, when you expand stuff, you can't really drag it into other elements. So if I wanted to drag this back over here, it would break FlutterFlow because things are expanded. We're working on improving that. But for now, it's the way things are. So same thing. We'll do that. We don't need to expand this because we're just going to do it from the start now. What's that? Those are different ways. Talk about scrolling. Okay. Oh, scrolling is a fun one. Tom, this is a really good question. So 3 columns in a container, like a dashboard, where the far left column I want to scroll. It's not very clear how scrolling works. Okay. So I have a example page for you here. So let's see if we can zoom down. We'll create this sort of what I wanted to talk about because, okay. Yeah. So another thing I want to talk about, and Zachary, I see you here. No problem. I'm going to address your question on Twitter that I have. So it may solve the issue, may not solve the issue. I'm gonna address this scrolling issue. So scrolling is sort of a nuanced thing because it's different within page views, within list views, columns, etc. Rows, right? Rows are horizontal scrolling, columns are vertical scrolling. List views scroll by default, but if you want to scroll them elsewhere, like let's say this, right? We have this guy up here. I'm going to try to recreate your scenario, Tom. So we have, just duplicate this. This is a list view. Okay. Oh yeah, it's not working. So, okay, copy that. Okay. Copy that. Okay. As you can see, this list view is sort of overflowing on this card. I think if I switch to light mode, you'll see it better. Okay. Now the way to fix that would be, hoping this will fix it. Go to expanded, and then it'll scroll right here. So now you can scroll within this list here. You can do the same thing with a column. So if you wanted just some content within a card to scroll, you basically list view scroll, like I said, automatically. It matters on the primary and shrink wrap. So those are the things that make that possible. If you don't want a list to scroll, right? So like, let's say we don't want this list to scroll, right? Let's unexpand it, and let's remove primary. Let's say we want this column to scroll. So we'll do scrolling here. Okay. Another thing is nothing can be expanded in a scrollable content column. Well, yeah, nothing can be expanded in a scrollable element. So as you saw, I selected this list view and unexpanded it. And then I selected the parent element, and I'm now making this one scroll. Sound good? Cool. I hope that helps, David. And if not, you can watch this again and do it. So it's another thing. Let's see. I don't want that to scroll. I'm okay with this actually scrolling. So I'll go ahead and make this a primary again. Cool. That's great. Yeah. let's dive into responsive dashboards and such. Okay, so we just released an update to containers, and this is sort of how when I build dashboards specifically, right? Like they're usually multi-column layouts on desktop, and they sort of change layouts as you get smaller and smaller. So we have responsive visibility. We have the ability to sort of create a row and then expand 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards. The problem with that is as you get smaller, those cards get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you want the columns to change, right? If I want to go from a 4-column layout on desktop to a 2-column layout on tablet to a 1-column layout um, on mobile, and you used rows and expanded within your containers, you're going to have 3 different widgets for that. You're going to have a desktop widget where you conditionally or you responsibly make those visible on desktop. You have your tablet one, you make responsive visible on tablet, and the one on mobile. So another way to do that would be utilizing wraps. Wraps are a funny thing because even though a desktop you can, or with the rows and the containers expanded, you could make them all sort of adjust, and they sort of have like this, percentage width of the parent. In a wrap, you can't necessarily do that. You can just set max width on containers. But one of the new features that just sort of slipped in, which sort of superpowers the ability you have to leverage responsive different designs for different viewports, is this max width, right? I want it set the width. Okay. Just allow the width to be infinity. I would set the max width. And what you can do now is you can set conditions on max width. So I'll show you what I did. So I have this body here. You can come down. I have that wrapped in a container, right? That container has a max width. So again, on a small desktop, like a laptop, I could set this to 1170. On a massive desktop, I could set this to 1440 or 1560, 1570, whatever, what have you. And then I could adjust my designs to fit those specific viewports. So you can do that by utilizing this whole max width thing and setting them in accordance with, right? Sometimes our breakpoints aren't fine-tuned enough. Okay. So now you can set screen width, just a variable. I'll go ahead and create a new sort of card here. So I'll do it. This is all in a container. Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and set some padding down here. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Cool. Padding is not working all the time. It is. So I'm going to set a card down here, and on it, well, we're just going to make it full width. There. Stylize it. Give it a box shadow. I'll close this up so we can have more space. Cool. Ooh. We'll leave it. Okay. So another thing, if you just utilize a container and you have one element within the container, instead of doing a row or a column to straighten that out, you could just set the child alignment to it. So you could do this. You could say max width demo. We could have this. Let's go ahead and do this in a wrap, right? So, well, you could do it in a wrap or a row. Do it in a row. Set the max width to 570. Okay. We'll duplicate that. We'll copy that and then paste it. Try to okay. Try to drag this down here. Okay. Okay. All right. So we have this guy. Set some padding. Oop. Right there. Some padding over here. And the way we can change this max width, I hope this is helpful, guys. I found it really powerful. And the way you can utilize this within your, like I said, dashboard designs um, is actually really cool. And I'll showcase how this sort of works and functions um, in the finished product. I have a run ready with the previous dashboard, but I just want to show you how you can set this. So set for variable, come over here, do conditional value. We're going to come over here to conditions, right? We want to set a condition. That condition is going to be screen width. We have a screen width and a screen height variable that you can set from. We don't want equal to because very few times it will be equal to that value. We want greater than or equal to. And then we're going to set this to be a specific value. And we're just going to enter a number, right? Because it is going to be translated into pixels. So we'll do 1170 value. That is the max width of the container. So when that container goes smaller, so when the screen gets smaller than 1170, right, we have column layouts. After it gets smaller than 1170, we want it to be spanned full across. So screen width is greater than 1170. We want this to be 570. And when it's greater, we'll do 1130. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to access that again, copy that. We're going to paste it over here. Boom. I love this copy and paste. It's just absolutely amazing. So, and really, what do we have these guys set at? Oh, 576. Okay, well, we'll do that. We'll do 576 because we want to make them even. Go. Hope that works. Okay, so I won't show you what we just did, but I'll show you the finished result of the dashboard in general. So if I share this screen instead, here we have this dashboard, right? And we have two up here and down here. And before, so down here. So now we have it all in one column. So you could also do this. So if we do this, yeah, I have this adjusted weird, but you could set as many sort of breakpoints as you want, right? You could still have, not that one, that one breaks it. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, you could still have a column layout, right? If you wanted some things to span all the way across and other things to basically get smaller, you could do this now within FlutterFlow. It's not a foolproof way of doing things, but it is a very beneficial, a little more intuitive way to do things. And if you actually, the best way I think is to utilize max width within a, responsive visibility. So still having some extra elements on the page. This one I try to do with only the elements, right? Because you can create any responsive design you want in FlutterFlow. It's just how much stuff on a page will you have? How many times will you have to duplicate it? This one, you're not duplicating anything. You're just using wraps and max width containers. So it would be a little better experience, which I had it before. If you go to this one, I think I have this homepage all. Yeah. So this guy, this utilizes a row here. And then I change this guy out on mobile. I have a desktop chart. Oh, sorry. My bad. Not sharing my screen. Right here. So this is another screen. It looks very similar to the other one, but the difference is I have a row here that has a column that's expanded and a container that's expanded. So this will do sort of that responsive, it'll adjust based off the screen size, which is a lot of fun. If you preview this, you could probably see that. So, right, this down here, this screen, it'll get smaller and then it'll just do this. So, and this is utilizing responsive visibility and max width, right? Different chart. This is a mobile chart. This is a desktop chart. So a few extra elements. We're not the preview mode doesn't render the from variable stuff, but if you did this in a web browser as well, you'd see similar results. So I'll share this project. I know I'm going through this sort of fast. I actually want to get to the thing that I want to show you guys, which is really cool. It's animations. I told you we were going to do animations, so I want to do that based off of this little tweet from Zakari. Dude, we're not going to be able to get into a whole bunch. I know you have a very specific example. I'll show you how to do this concept, how to animate a custom navigation bar and animate the selected screen. So I have this, I have that run mode. Let's go ahead here. So this is a nav bar, right? This is a modal. I'm going to show you how to do this. This is sort of the finished product. But we have a tab bar here, and we just sort of will navigate that icon and selected container in every time we click, and we just sort of make it bounce. So I hope that this works. Another thing that you ask is, can we make text size dynamic based on the size of the button? Yes, you can. You could set font size. Well, you can set font size from variable as well. So I don't know if you could do it on the size of the button. I would just make a button. I don't know. We'll talk about this later, but I wanted to showcase how do you do this, right? So let's come back to FlutterFlow and sidebar example. Do I have stuff here? Yes, I do. I want segmented nav. Okay, this is bare minimum. So I have my design here. I'm going to go ahead and resize this screen so it's a little more appropriate. Okay. Oh. Zoom in. Okay. So typically what you would do, if you had this type of navigation on multiple pages, so like a sidebar navigation for a web app, you would have a single component. You would make this a component. So you would have a single component on multiple pages. We showcase that in other live streams. But the way that you can now do things is you have component states and page states. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create this as a component because we want to access this as a bottom sheet. This is going to be like a user's profile information while they're in the app. So name that there. We'll do this. Wow. Create this. Perfect. Okay. So, one thing that we need to do, we need to access a local component state variable. So we're going to do content view. I'm just going to name it. I'm going to make it an integer. Okay. This is the same thing. You would do the same thing if you were making this component and putting this on multiple pages, right? So this is the same idea, just all within one. But let's go ahead and we want each of these to be styled differently, right? We have, this is the selected state. We have 3 of these, and we want them to be styled differently based off of which one is selected. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to set this fill color from conditional value. I'm going to set this from a single condition. Boom. That condition is going to be content view equal to a specific value. We're just going to call it 1. Okay. If it's set to 1, we're going to do secondary BG. If it's not set to 1, we'll do primary BG. That'll be the gray back here. Then all you have to do is copy this, right? Same thing with the color on this text. I'm going to paste it. If is 1, primary. If not 1, secondary text. Same thing on the icon. Primary, secondary, and lastly, the container. Paste. Primary background. That's good. Okay. Now, how do you, we have this stuff set from variables. So the colors, the style is all set from variable. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was trying to read comments without Will here. I'm doing both things. So now we have this stuff set from variable, but how do you actually make it selected? So 2 different ways. Well, 2 things that we'll have to do. First, on page, where's my, page load. Oh, crap. Okay, that's right. Well, one thing we'll have to do is add action. Let's go ahead and set this. So we want to animate. Oh, we don't have animation. Oh yeah, that's right. Update local component. Okay. We will update this content view to specific value 1. Okay. We're going to rebuild the current component. No problem. Okay. So when we click this, we will update the content view, which is that integer, to 1. All of this stuff is stylized based off that content view. So we're going to come over here and paste this action. We're going to do content view 2. Same thing with this guy. Going to do content view 3. Okay. Now what we're going to have to do, I'll just showcase this. So I'm going to do an if else, copy this, paste it over here. Sorry, sort of better for work, but I'm going to show, yeah, it's going to be really cool when you see the finished product. Well, you already saw the finished product, but this is sort of how you build that. So there you go. We're going to change that value to 2. That's cool. In here, color variable, primary, secondary, here 2. I mean, this is just great. You can set colors from variable. I love it. Okay. Lastly, this little container. Okay. Gonna do that. Perfect. Okay. So when we, I'll go ahead and run a test mode, and I'll have it sort of sitting in the background. So that we can adjust. So we'll have, when we click this, this will turn purple and white. When we click this, this will turn purple and white. So that's how you create the different styles. Now, if you want to animate those things, what you'll have to do is create this. I name my stuff. Everything I animate, I want to name. So nav 1 bar. because you're going to have to find these things. Have one icon in your animations. So, okay. Same thing. Two. Two. And okay. Go ahead and do this. Animate. Animations in FlutterFlow, in my opinion, are super, super easy. I think creating this is just as simple as can be. We're going to do a simple fade animation. Okay, we want to set this to 300. We're going to apply the same duration. We want a slide. Okay, we're going to do horizontal position. Initial, I think, -40. See how that is? Cool. As you can see, it's coming out. You don't want to see it coming all the way. So we're going to do one thing. I'm going to copy these animations for one. And then I'm going to select the content view one, that container. I'm just going to clip content there. And then when we go back, we'll see that we don't see it coming from beyond that container. So there's that. I'm going to do the same on action trigger. All right, that's what we want. We do not want initial state applied. So we're going to remove that. Okay. If we have initial state applied, it's going to, when you load this, it's going to be hidden. So you do not want initial state applied. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of delay. Cool. That's going to stagger it a little bit. Cool. The last thing we want, we're going to just edit. We're going to basically just like animate this little text. The way we're going to do it is we're going to do a slide. I think we're just going to make it like, oh, sorry, maybe 8 pixels. We're going to make this bounce. Yeah, that's just going to bounce real quick. We don't need it that fast. We're going to do 300. Cool. So this is how you're going to animate it. Well, that's how you set up the animations. This is how you animate it. You'll come over here to actions. We'll open this. We're going to add an action, animate. And then, like I said, we have to choose this. So we're going to do 1 bar. We're going to do a non-blocking animation. We can just copy that, paste it, and then change this, right? We want non-blocking. If you do blocking, then everything will sort of, it'll fire, wait, fire, wait, fire, wait. You do not want that. You want everything to fire at once. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we have our test mode. So if we come to our home screen, let's go ahead and trigger this to bring up a bottom sheet. There, we want this to be our component profile. And we actually want to define parameter. Okay, we're going to define this parameter. Something you're going to have to do in components. So integer. Okay. Page state. We're not. What are we doing here? Component profile. Yep. Okay. Content view. Cool. All right. That should be it. Let's see if this works. Let's see if it actually works. On pages, it's easy because you can set an action to set the component variable by 1. Here, it's a little more difficult, but we'll see. So pass this variable. Do that. Non-blocking. Enable drag. Let's do that. We'll do an overlay. Obviously, you need an overlay. Okay, cool. see if this will share this tab. Ooh, rate seated. Never had that before. All right, we'll check it. Service unavailable. I must have too many test modes up and running. Okay, give me a second. Let me, I'll reshare this screen. Yep, that's true. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading name animations. Oh, cool. Let's tackle that. I can do this one. How do you name animations? Well, the way I was so these are all on action trigger. So the way you name them is you name the element behind that animation too. So I nav bar 1 or nav 1 bar. This one nav 1 icon, and this one nav 1. So when I go and I check when I want to trigger that animation, that's what I'm going to get. So same thing reason why it's important is because when I do it on this guy over here, okay, I'll make this clear. Apologize. Wasn't even sharing my screen. This guy. Okay. All right. Nav 1 bar here, as you can see. Nav 1 icon. Nav 1 text. That's what pops up in the trigger animation. Same thing. When I do this on a paste all. Don't apply initial state. Okay. Okay. Gonna be okay. This little guy. Copy that animation. Oh, we want it on animation, yeah. Okay. As we saw before, right? Well, yeah. So when I click this container, I want these animations to trigger. So I'll open this action flow editor. Give me a second. Let me reload. That's how you name them. Okay. Changing background and icon colors. Ooh. Here, I think we covered this. Let me know if. Okay. I think we covered this. I hope. Sorry, this was a while ago. Wasn't being able to manage the comments on the live stream, but I think we handled this, right? You are able to do this by state, or I'll show you. Okay. Well, we can make this a container or a component. Same thing, right? So if this is a component, it's on multiple pages, right? We basically do the same thing we did in the pop-up modal, right? We would create in this case, we'd create a parameter actually, right? So we do selected nav. Okay. Sure. Okay. Instead of the local state component, we can do this. Oh, duh. I'm an idiot. That's how we should have done the last one. My bad. Anyways, parameter. Do a parameter, and then you can set all of your variables here based off of that parameter. Okay. And when you're on the page, so if we come back to the page, Okay. You select that container. You can say selected one right here. And that's how you're going to create a custom navigation bar with different selected states. You would set up all your actions within this container. So, if I want to go to patient screen, I'll set up my action here. Same thing over here. And then we're just going to set up these styles based off of variables, right? Very similar, very same that we did to this component profile. So we can actually adjust all of this stuff to parameter. Man, that's a tough one to swallow. I set it up on a page before, and I use page state, which is a very nifty update, and it's very cool. But yeah, with you want to do page parameters because you can pass those parameters in so that nothing breaks. Try this test mode again. We'll see. But I'll share this tab. We're almost done with. This was somewhat beneficial. Learning how to build, learning how to do some custom animations and some cool layouts. So this is when we click this navbar, we're animating those things. We have style selected based off of that variable as well. And we're also showing different. So this is all based off that one. This is a page state. It would be one parameter, right, in a component. So on that one parameter, we're showcasing this. I wouldn't necessarily do my app like this, but for a component, for something like this, I want it in an edit modal. I would do that like this. But to have all your content like a 4-page app on one page in FlutterFlow, don't do it. It's not recommended. I would definitely have your different pages, have a component for your navigation bar, and then pass in parameters. So cool. I hope that made sense. I hope it helped. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm gonna answer some more questions. So I'm gonna drag this guy over to see if I can find some questions to answer. Okay, can you make a complete tutorial? Look, I am the designer on the team. I would love if I had time to make tutorials. I don't. I do stuff and all template stuff and all marketing stuff. So yeah, I can pass it on. So you can, we'll try to work on that. We're working on a bunch of enterprise tutorials right now, how to build in FlutterFlow. So this is a good question. So is there a way to make the side Mac on desktop adjustable where you can click and drag it to make it wider and thinner like you on FlutterFlow itself? Within FlutterFlow, no, there's no drag ability. Within the Mac app, we can. I think that's coming in a later update. So, ooh, this one's really good. Yeah, this is great. Okay, Gary, I will showcase this. This is actually really easy. Thankfully, the development team at FlutterFlow is awesome, and I asked for this request because of this exact issue. So, come over here. I'll share this. Okay, Okay, you can see this. Yeah, you can see this. Cool. All right, go to settings, theme. You could create design library from project. That's all you have to do. I'm not going to do it with this one because this is a worthless project that just has 2 things, but you just create it. You can come over here to your organization and you can see your team design library. So right there, I already sort of have some. So here, I'll just do this one. This one doesn't have any components, but I created this theme just the other day. So it has all of my pages, which you can't really have pages, but you can have components. But yeah, that's how you do it. It's a simple, very, very simple, settings and create design library from project. And it saves all of your components. So typically, what I think we did this 2 weeks ago, we talked about design systems in FlutterFlow, how to set them up, and how to sort of expand them. What I would do when I'm beginning a project is go in there, all of my all the components that I want to, right? If you're working off of a design, it's very easy once they're already there. So go in there, make all the components I want, set up my theme, my styles, and then create a library from that. And then go in there and make my pages in the project. So that's a great question. Really like that. Okay. Let's see. Any other final questions? Yes. Yes. This is a good one. Okay. I don't know if you're still on, but how do you link a text field with an app state in the way when the app state changes, it will be reflected? So you can create a input as a component. You can access the state of that component, and you can even do this in some other projects. I'll have to do a Loom or something about this, but you can do this by making an input a component, in that component having an app state, and then setting that app state probably from a parameter or passing a parameter in, and then changing that parameter on the screen itself. So this is totally possible. It's sort of incredible what you can do now with component states. So I hope this guys, I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for joining. I know it's been short and I've been sort of sporadic because I'm by myself today. But I think we covered a lot of fun stuff, and I hope that you guys will apply it and hope to see your designs become better. So thank you guys again. I'm gonna